Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was born in Porbandar, Gujarat State, India, on the 2nd of October, 1869. After completing his schooling, he proceeded to London, where he qualified as a barrister in 1891. 2 years later, his professional services were engaged by Abdullah Haji Adam Javeri, known as Dada Abdullah, a wealthy Durban trader, in a £40,000 lawsuit against a rival firm in Pretoria. In May 1893, the 22-year-old Gandhi arrived in Durban. Thus began his South African chapter. Dada Abdullah's firm was in Greenacres Passage, which today is just off West Street. While in Durban, Gandhi visited the local magistrate's court, where he was requested to remove his turban. Unaware of the racial prejudices existing in South Africa at that time, the young Gandhi refused and left the court. The press noted him as an unwelcome visitor. Then, on the 23rd of June, he left Durban by train for Johannesburg. Durban's tourist junction marks the old station of his departure. At Pietermaritzburg, a white passenger objected to Gandhi's presence in the compartment. Gandhi refused to move and pointed out that his ticket entitled him to first-class travel. But he was thrown off the train, and he spent the cold night contemplating his resolve to fight injustice. On the 27th of April, 1997, Mahatma Gandhi was posthumously awarded the Freedom of the City together with Nelson Mandela. Receiving the citation, the Mahatma's grandson, Mr. Gopal Krishna Gandhi, High Commissioner for India, said, "Gandhi fell with a railway ticket that no one honoured. He rose with a testament no one could ignore. He fell a passenger, but rose a patriot. Fell as a barrister, but rose as a revolutionary. His legal brief became a political cause. His sense of human decency transformed itself into a passion for human justice. The personal died in him that moment and turned public. Mine became thine. In fact, Mohandas Gandhi was not flung here, he was launched." Almost a year later, after the conclusion of his case, Gandhi returned to Durban en route back home. A farewell party was given in his honor, at which Gandhi was alerted of the intention of the Natal legislature to disenfranchise Indians. At the request of the Indian merchants present, Gandhi postponed his departure and decided to stay in Natal and take up the fight for them. Subsequently, the Natal Indian Congress, the NIC, was formed on the 22nd of May, 1894. In Gandhi's time, the meetings of the Congress were held in the vicinity of the Grey Street Mosque, where the Ajmeri Arcade now stands. In later years, the NIC had its meetings in Lakhani Chambers in Savile Street. Gandhi then lived in Beech Grove, Durban, and to earn his own keep, he got admitted as an advocate and started practicing law. Gandhi used life's obstacles as opportunities for growth. In Durban, he chose to wash his own collars for court when pay for laundry became too much. Yet another year had passed before Gandhi left for India to garner support for the Indian cause, as well as to bring his family to Durban. He returned to the shores of Natal in December 1896 with his wife, 2 children and a nephew. Following misconstrued news reports, 5,000 white demonstrators at the point tried to prevent Gandhi and others from landing. The passengers only stepped ashore on the 13th of January, 1897. On the day of landing, Gandhi himself came ashore with a boat that brought him up the creek to where Mills Road now stands. Not far away, at Tudor House, previously known as Ship Hotel, Gandhi was almost lynched by a hostile white mob. In Midwood Gardens was the police station where Gandhi was sheltered after the assault. Gandhi refused to lay charges. Thereafter, Gandhi sought refuge in the home of Parsi Rustamji, then at 84, now 110 Field Street, between Commercial and Queen Streets. Gandhi's chambers were now in Mercury Lane, in partnership with R.K. Khan. He saw firsthand the harsh treatment given to the indentured Indian labourers and served an hour every morning at the St. Aidan's Mission Dispensary of Dr. Booth, seeing to their medical needs. Situated near Cross and Leopold Streets, this later became St. Aidan's Hospital through the funding of Parsi Rustamji. Gandhi offered his services freely during the Anglo-Boer War of 1899. He formed an Indian volunteer ambulance corps of about 1,100 men, made up mostly of indentured labourers and about 300 traders and professionals. After this war service, Gandhi felt a need to serve more in India, and so, in 1901, he gave up the Beech Grove house and Mercury Lane office and returned with his family to India, with a promise to return if the community should need him in an emergency. Hardly 2 years had passed when Gandhi received a cable from South Africa. Remembering his promise, he gave up his growing practice in Bombay and arrived in South Africa to lead a deputation to the then Secretary of State for the Colonies, Mr. Chamberlain. After the Anglo-Boer War, the racial prejudice against Indians worsened, and Gandhi found himself in the midst of the struggle in the Transvaal. Gandhi set himself up as an attorney and began to address people's legal concerns. He realized that the battle was not going to be simple and recalled his family back from India once again. As part of his transformation in South Africa, Gandhi instituted changes in everyday life, tangible changes that helped build his character. Once, Gandhi was refused a haircut by a white hairdresser. This only made him more self-reliant, and he immediately began to groom himself. While in Johannesburg, Gandhi assisted the local Indian community in getting legal acceptance for the first crematorium in Africa. This can still be seen in Brixton today. After seeking Gandhi's advice, the Indian Opinion was founded by V. Madanjit in Durban in 1903, but the printing press later was moved to Phoenix. The newspaper, published in Gujarati, Hindi, Tamil and English, not only reported on matters concerning the Indian population, but became the mouthpiece of the Natal Indian Congress. According to Gandhi, the Indian Opinion was meant to serve and keep the local and international communities informed of the events in South Africa, and thereby function as an effective and potent weapon in the struggle. Gandhi contributed many articles to the newspaper, which became a vehicle for his thoughts and ideas. He would often fund the newspaper when it experienced financial difficulties. In 1904, Gandhi purchased a farm near Mount Edgecombe. He called it the Phoenix Settlement. Influenced by his readings of Tolstoy and Ruskin, as well as the trappers at Marion Hill Monastery, the settlement was based on the ideals of communal living, whereby all persons, irrespective of their social standing and occupation, would receive an equal wage. In 1906, Zulus in Natal were subject to a crippling and harsh hut tax, against which they protested very strongly. The war that ensued between the colonists and Zulus saw casualties on both sides, but heaviest on the part of the Zulus. Gandhi formed an Indian ambulance corps of 20 men, each of whom were paid 1 shilling and sixpence by the Natal Indian Congress. Gandhi's experience in the Zulu rebellion and the horrors that he witnessed changed his life forever. By 1906, Gandhi was still in the process of formulating his moral, political, and philosophical principles. At a mass meeting of 3,000 people, the total Transvaal Indian population was then around 7,000, the Indians swore that they would die first rather than bend to the act. And so Satyagraha was born. The concept of Satyagraha, or non-violence, means sole force, pure and simple, and was used as a new weapon in the campaign for justice over voiceless people. Gandhi served his first prison sentence in 1908. Since General Smuts, the Prime Minister at that time, did not keep his word, Gandhi initiated mass public action by the burning of passes in a 3-legged pot. This changed Gandhi's lifestyle. He gave up his legal practice and his private home and began living with his family and followers at Tolstoy Farm and at Phoenix, which provided a refuge for the Satyagrahis. The passive resistance campaign brought about the most powerful occurrences against the government. Although Gandhi left South Africa on December 19, 1914 for the last time, His spirit was cemented to South Africa when a portion of his ashes were brought from India and immersed outside Durban.